expected from a Super League club against a Championship club. Mm-hmm. The pattern of the play, I missed the first 5 minutes of this one. The pattern of the play did not read like that scoreline reads. Bradford really padded it out in the last 10 minutes, and by that stage, Stanley were really walking wounded. Yeah. There was it felt like every time you looked up, there was a Stanley player down, right, and they were down with injuries they had to come off for. A couple of players went back on after being injured. So
is that because Bradford are more physically imposing than Stanley play? Were they much bigger, or is there
there's a little bit of that. Stanley did have a lot of young players. Like, you tend to find you've got some. It's like the amateur game. Yeah. So your wingers are really kids, yeah, and your props are fat. Yeah. There's no way of dressing it up.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it was built like. But really, yeah, Bradford are a much more organised outfit there. You know, they've still got some legacy of the team that won the double last year there, although most of those, well, not most, but a chunk of those players have moved on. But they've still got a legacy of that. They are a Super League side. They play more regularly. They train. I'm guessing they are able to train more. And the women's game have named extended benches compared to the men's game, so they usually get about 7 on the bench.
Yeah.
Stanley were only able to name 4 on the bench, and they were in the second half. They were all injured players,
right?
That were stood watching for the last 20 minutes or so. So I felt a bit for Stanley. They were game. They were, they really put as much effort in as they could. And it helped with the Leeds fans being there, kind of were supporting Stanley against Bradford, and Stanley being within Leeds. So that helped create a little bit of atmosphere during that game. But well played to Bradford. They were a class above. When they got an injury, one of their second rows who'd scored a try at the end of the first half got an injury, but she was replaced by Amy Hardcastle, who plays for England. Yeah. And her first touch, she scored a try and looked a class above. And so I think she's on a journey back from injury herself. She got injured really badly early in the season. So, that's what Bradford were able to do compared to what Stanley were able to do.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that difference in class did tell. Stanley got too tired by the end in very warm conditions, but well done to them. Mm-hmm. In the cup final itself, this was a really, really exciting seesaw game. Castleford came into it as the underdogs. Leeds are top of the table. We did get some fan reviews in, so before I go into too much detail, shall we go through some of those? Do you want to start with Dr. Bob?
Yep. So Dr. Bob said, what a game. Good to see the 2018 champions claim their rightful place. The first half was excellent defence from Tigers and taking their opportunity. No greater example than the last moment try from halfway. The second half Rhinos was special. Lois Forsell was brilliant across the pitch, and a special mention to Amy Staveley for the crashing try, and massive for a prop break.
Yeah, one of the prop forwards for Leeds was really impressive, and I'll check out if it was her, because she was like the most undersized prop on the pitch. This one that I was thinking of, it was very good. But yeah, Fat Boy Rob, he sat and watched the game with us. He got quite a bit of stick from some of the Leeds fans that were sat around us. The Leeds fans probably outnumbered the Cass fans somewhat, but also the Cass fans had sat further along the end, but Rob was sat with us, so he was stuck. He said, a very enjoyable game of rugby league which Leeds narrowly but deservedly won 2014 in front of a crowd of just over 1,000. We sat amongst the Leeds players' families and wags, so it was the right result for mine and Mark's safety. There was some unwanted sexual contact in the stand whenever Leeds scored, which added to my enjoyment of the day. They started rubbing Rob's head every time Leeds scored from behind. The only real difference between the women and men's game is the distance on kicks and the fact that the ref actually pulls forward passes. To the naysayers, mainly Cass fans to be fair, who were saying the game should have been moved to Feb, you're wrong. The women's game deserves a permanent home for the cup final as much as the men's. Wyatt did a decent job of hosting, but the local marketing and the time clock, and get a time clock on it next year, please. In other news, I met Gary H before the match. I wished him luck, fingers crossed, and told him about Lee Whitnall's coaching badges for next season. He thanked me and explained he prefers unqualified coaches like Bill and Lowe's. In other news, we learnt who wears the trousers in the Illingworth house. Spoiler, that person is not Ginger. Yeah, Tim G Radio.
Is there a story behind that? Oh.
Not really. I I made a few jokes.
Sexist comments.
I made a few, spurious comments of a purely in-jest nature. But for some reason, my wife will gladly make sort of glib remarks when she's sat at the sofa and no one else other than me can hear. Wanted to act all defensive and So there you go. So I've got a bit of a telling off.
Okay, Tim G Radio, really pleased for Leeds. They've played some attractive rugby to get them the cup and deserve the success. They've shown the value of being a unified team who have bonded fantastically in their first season. Especially chuffed for Danica Prim, G-leader in chief. Lois Vassell is a genuine star we should be putting in people's faces. Also, the hashtag rest faulting was total bollocks. Jog on.
Yeah, that was from, I think, the captain of England. Who was there. I have a feeling she plays for Fev. I'm not sure, but I think she might play for Fev. But there was a few of the Wigan players there as well. I went and said hello to them before the game and nervously told an 80, I think she's like 20 or something, a 20-year-old woman, that she was my favourite player. Which she was quite embarrassed by, I think, as much as I was. But that was out of line, because actually I thought the ref was fantastic in this game. I'm not saying
female ref.
No, it was man. I'm not saying he got everything right. He probably let a few offsides go for both sides, but the conditions were quite trying, and he also let a few high-ish shots go. But it was a final. You want intensity. You want physical intensity. So I agree with Tim. The ref's faulting was total bollocks, and actually we all sort of thought the ref handled it very even-handedly and had a good game. Sarah said, "Great to see Rugby League expanding its horizons on television. A really enjoyable match which could have gone either way, almost to the hooter. Great try for Cass on the stroke of half-time. Hopefully in another year it'll be closer and I can get to it in person." So that's about the venue. I did feel like there wasn't enough awareness in Warrington of the game, so I don't know if you can speak from a Warrington fan's perspective, but did the club do anything at all to push the game through their fans? Did they billboard it in any way at recent home games? Did they send out any mail shots through email or anything to the season ticket holders?
I haven't seen anything. That's not to say that there wasn't something, but I certainly haven't had an email about it or as a member, I've not had any sort of offer or any sort of.
Well, it was £5 a ticket, so what sort of offer could they offer? It was bargain, wasn't
it? Just to tell us that it was happening. The only reason I knew it was happening was from listening to this show.
Wow, well, that sort of speaks, doesn't it? Yeah, a little bit.
But 1,000 fans, and we were talking about it before, you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? And maybe in 5 years' time this will be a real event that we can get people, thousands of people to. But
I know that Emma would go and watch more women's rugby league now off the back of that. She really enjoyed the game. And I think it was a good way to ease her in. She wouldn't have enjoyed it maybe as much if it was Wigan. I was getting a bit more emotionally involved in the action. But with the women's game, because they're amateurs, I still wouldn't get too involved like you would with the professionals. Sort of thing. They don't carry your emotions as much. But I definitely think there was a lot going on there. You got really good access to the players because they came up and did the trophy presentation from the press box. I think it was Ray French who was giving out the presenting the trophy, but they did it from the press box, so they walked up and just walked across the row of seats below the press box. But that meant that they walked through the fans that were all there, that were all gathered. So Dom had sort of lined up there with his daughter Scarlett on his shoulders, and she was high-fiving the Leeds players as they went past and stuff like that. It was really sweet. We were sat, like Rob had said, around some of the families of the players, so they were like high-fiving their kids and friends and cousins and that, whatever they were, as they were going up and stuff. So that was fantastic. And you could tell in this game it was a step up from the game before it. Emma even could tell, and she's not a keen observer. And she was saying like this is a lot more exciting and entertaining. The pace and the physicality and stuff was a lot more high. The skill level was a lot more high. Kicking to touch was a problem from penalties, but I think these two teams knew that was a problem. Whereas in the first game they were still pushing it and not not having success from it. Goal kicking wasn't a problem. Goal kicking was pretty good from both sides. Skill level wasn't a problem. Lois Forsell was definitely the best player on the pitch, though.
She a hooker?
She is a hooker, yeah, for Leeds. She was the best player on the pitch. She was clearly the most composed, the most organised. You can tell that there's a bit of coaching within her and that sort of stuff. She was very good. For the Castleford side, last week we talked about some of their stars, and those two stars in particular, Katie Hepworth, who played in the second row, and Tara Stanley, who played at fullback, didn't disappoint. Both scored tries in the first half. Both got them out to the 8-0 lead. So I like to think we picked out the right people. I think Stanley got a little bit of a niggle halfway through the game. She made a bit of a gaff at the start of the second half. That led to the Rhinos try, which will have been the one from Caitlin Beavers. I think that kind of happened right in front of us. That was a bit disappointing for her, but obviously as well, Cass just couldn't get any points scored in the second half. It was all Leeds in the second half, and they made it pay in the end. And then after they'd gone ahead through the prop forward, who isn't the one I was thinking of, actually, the one that Dr. Bob mentioned. The one I was thinking of was Danielle Anderson, the number 10 for Leeds, who was actually quite good in the game. But yeah,
what are the halfbacks like? Are they?
You can tell they've got better passing skills than the other ladies. But the star players seem to be the fullbacks and the hookers. Pretty much in these women games, from I've seen, for the most part. The halfbacks look like slower fullbacks, if you know what I mean. I don't know. They're organisers, they're distributors, but they're not overly creative as such. It's more about getting your quick people into space in the women's game. And I think Castleford did that really well in the first half. They were able to make breaks and then score off the back of some of those as well, and take advantage of a Leeds mistake along the way as well. But Lois Forsell just organised the people around her so much better than anyone else that you saw that day. And when we talk about stars, we have got some stars in the women's game, or potential stars, and we really do need to be putting them forward. I sense some of them are maybe reluctant at this stage to do it, but there's a few people who have been in front of the cameras on stuff. Your mate Jodie Cunningham. Let's not tell Mrs. Whitnell. We're far enough in that Mrs. Whitnell, I turned it off by now, wasn't she? So your friend Jodie Cunningham from the Saints experience. And Lois Forsell, fantastic as well. I think a few other ones need to be a bit less reluctant in coming forward, and then we can really make some stars. But I've been convinced this season, watching Becky Greenfield at Wigan, that she should be in the conversation for the fullback position for England in the next round of internationals. But other players kept popping up on match reviews and stuff that played at fullback, and I saw when Leeds played against us, their fullback was pretty good. To be honest as well, but I still thought, my girl Becky, she's a little star, so I was still backing her. But Tara Stanley, I mean, she's the best fullback I've seen in the women's game this year. Even when she was playing, looked like she picked up a bit of a niggle in the second half of this game. She was still a constant threat and a constantly wanting to get on the ball and wanting to make stuff happen for a team and stuff like that. So she's a very impressive player from the Castleford side of things, but the right person got player of the match, and the right result in the end. I think that second half, Leeds just piled on the pressure and got what they deserved. It was a great occasion though, so hopefully everyone going to the grand final can rock along to the women's grand final, which is being played at the other side of Manchester earlier in the day, and then we can see the game grow from there.
Is that
it could be Wigan Saints in the women's grand final and the men's grand final potentially, couldn't it? That'd be quite exciting.
But interesting to see how they market that. If that was the case, but
Leeds are the favourites and deservedly so.
Okay,
League One, round 20. West Wales 6, Hunslet 86, Bradford 46, Whitehaven 0, Hemel 28, Oldham 60. There's been a video doing the rounds of a great beyond full length, picked up in his own goal, ran the full length of the pitch, but also had to go to the corner to finish it. Scored by a Hemel prop in this game, but Oldham took the points. York 30, North Wales 0, Workington 34, Keighley 12, Newcastle 46, London 14, Coventry 4, Doncaster 46. This is the only one I know much about because someone's got in touch. So what did Tim have to say?
Tim G Radio said Bears made some simple